Hello and welcome to MLW Confusion. I'm your host Rob Cameron, bringing you all that you may or may not need to know about Major League Wrestling and its television programming. This week we are going to talk about Furry Road. Of course, we have news first. This week, news is dominated by the upcoming Battle Riot match. That is Saturday, June 1st. At Center Stage in Hotlanta, Georgia. Got a couple of match announcements and, of course, new participants in the match itself. We'll start with the new participants, first of which, the most recently announced as of the time of this here recording, Jesus Rodriguez is coming back for Battle Riot. This is not his first rodeo. Also announced is the new National Openweight Championship. I guess it's not a spoiler alert because that was part of the Azteca yeah, I've just botched this up already. Part of the Azteca tapings. But, like, I'm sorry, like, for me, like, it all kind of runs together, because, like, yes, I've watched them, both events, on their respective, streaming platforms, but I was also there live, and so, like, most of my memories come from the live itself. But, yeah. So, Bad Dude Tito is going to be joining us in the event, in addition to, newly listed folks such as the one Called Manders, Jake Christ, Brett Ryan Goslin, Mr. Thomas, and Josh Bishop. We also have two new one-on-one matches to be had. The first of which is just announced today is Contra Unit's Janai Kai, spoiler alert on that one for real this time, is defending her championship against the former featherweight champ, Delmi Exo. Long-awaited rematch, except this time now Delmi is under the employ of Cesar Duran and part of the Azteca Lucha organization. And of course, well, last time they battled, Janai Kai was a part of Promociones Dorado, and now she's a member of Contra Unit. So we got some changing up here, changing of the guards, if you will. We'll see if that leads to a title change or what's going on. Man, I just can't talk today, can I? We'll just see how that turns out. I'm actually very interested in the match. I'm glad to see Delmi finally getting her rematch for the championship. And now let's see if she's learned any dirty tricks from Cesar Duran. It has also been announced that... I'm just going to take a deep breath on this one. Going to take several deep breaths about this one. It has been announced that Filthy Tom Lawler will be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship currently held by Satoshi Kojima. I say this because don't get me wrong, as much as I love Tom Lawler, as much as I love Satoshi Kojima, Lawler was stripped of the title due to injury like about a month ago. So he got stripped of the title just to basically immediately come back into play. That upsets me. Because, like, he hasn't been gone long. Like, yes, if they're injured, blah, 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 we got to make changes. But he wasn't injured. Like, I guess he was just put in the ICU and then just came out and everything was all better. And Davey Boy Smith Jr. is also all better. He is going to be in the Battle Riot match itself. That's been announced. So, like, I'm very confused as to why WTF was stripped of the Tag Team Championships while, like, Janai Kai can go a couple months without defending the Featherweight Championship, or Ricky Shane Page can go several months without defending the National Openweight Championship. I'm not sure why the tag team titles were different. They had to be stripped right away without even, like, getting, I guess, like, even going to the kayfabe route, without getting, like, proper medical confirmation of things. So, like, that really, like, upsets me, and I find that makes, like, literally no sense storyline wise, like, even in kayfabe, which, like, let's be realistic, like, a lot of wrestling requires some suspension of disbelief, and I really do try to, like, keep in mind that, this is a show, and try not to neckbeard too terribly much, despite having a neck, having a beard, and having a podcast. But, like, this man, like, dude, if you really wanted Cozy Max to be champions that bad, just should have had him wrestle. Like, let Kojima do double duty, and, title switch that way. It doesn't matter if it's face versus face, because Lord knows you end up having face versus face anyway. You had the former, like, yeah, like, it just, what was the point of WTF defending the titles against Bomaye? Like, yeah, just, I don't know. Like, there's already built in a feud because Kojima and MSL doesn't get along. Like, I just don't understand it. And I'm not adding anything to the conversation at this point. I'm just rattling on incoherently, so I am just going to move along. But move along means it's time to go to the main show. But before we go to the main show, let's take a pause for the cause. Take a shout out for the folks that help pay for this here podcast, and I'll catch you all un momento. If you're like me, sometimes you need a pick-me-up to get you through the day. I drink Ray's Energy for that pickup. Ray's comes in a bunch of different flavors, and more recently Italian Ice, which is great, by the way. And it contains no sugar, so there's no crash after you drink it. And, really, like, best of all, if you go through me and go to wetrepsports.com, use my code CASS, you get 15% off your order. So, also, be like Cass, drink Ray's Energy. Alright, we are back. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Furry Road. No, Furry. I'm told it was Fury Road. I think it could be furry. I mean, I'm kind of a hairy dude talking about Fury Road, but whatever. Fix it in post. There is no post. The post is used to hold up the fences. Yeah, so Fury Road, part 2 of the MLW Azteca Lucha taping from May 11th. This one's broadcasted on YouTube. It's free, so, if you haven't, go check it out. I don't know why you're listening to this if you haven't had an opportunity to check this out yet. Or maybe I'm just that darn good. Yeah, that's it. Totally it. But yeah, so second half of the card, we get a recap of Azteca Lucha, the World Middleweight Championship match, and Mystico retains. New MLW Tag Team Champions, beating vacant for the title is the team of Cozy Max, and of course, most notably, Selena De La Renta in the clutches of Azteca Lucha and Cesar Duran, because she done stole his key to the Richie's Prize in Lucha, the MacGuffin. But Joe Dombrowski, Christian Cole, still our announced team for the event. They are going to run down the card for us. It's a pretty fun looking show. But we're going to start off right away with some action. Of course, after the video package or whatever. But the Notorious BRG, Brett Ryan Goslin, takes on the fire starter, Jake Christ. And Christ is going to start out hot. Sick kick, baseball slide, tope suicida, acai moonsault, just all within the first 30 seconds of the match. However, inside the ring, Christ is not so lucky per se, as BRG catches him with a kick to the midsection on a mid-air dive. BRG goes for sweet victory, only gets 2 off of that. Christ goes on the offensive with a big lariat for 2. However, BRG goes for the eyes, which is the great equalizer, of course, and he hits a spear. Talks way too much stuff before he goes for his patented fisherman's neckbreaker. However, Christ counters that into a backslide for the pin. Really quick match. But it was a lot of fun, really, because it was really non-stoppish. It wasn't necessarily high octane, but there wasn't any big rest periods for the most part. We got some small stoppages because BRG's a talker, so he's got himself to talk to the crowd and whatnot, which is good because the crowd really wasn't aware of his existence because they were there for the lucha. But he had totally, I would say, won the crowd over, aka the crowd hated him by the end of it. And of course, it showed, Chris got some good offensive bursts in there and then ended up picking up the victory. However, at a certain level, it's all for naught because Goslin, being ever the poor sport, attacks Chris from behind, lays him out before security ushers him to the back. But yeah, as I said, it was a fun little match, a strong opener, get the crowd going, get the blood pumping, and it looks like we are going to at least have a small feud between BRG and Jake Christ, because this can't be the end of it. You can't just be left lying. Dude that literally lights title belts on fire is not just going to give up because you attacked him from behind, whatnot. Yeah, so after that, we get some footage from last week where Selena got kidnapped by the Azteca Lucha goons from Azteca Lucha. like it's kind of redundant, but the Azteca Lucha show, where she was held captive by the Lucha goons of Cesar Duran because she done stole the key, as I said, like 2 minutes ago. But we got a re-showing of that. Following that, we get our first Battle Riot Control Center, going over a list of names that have just been added to the Battle Riot match itself, which include Jake Christ, Akira, Bobby Fish, Mr. Thomas, Alex Kane. They're all joining Battle Riot as well, including a mystery Contra member. At least we're going to get a name, hopefully, out of that, instead of like one of the generic Sendai Death Squad dudes, because there's already like 2 or 3 of them in previous Battle Riots. Speaking of Akira and Bobby Fish, they are our next match. Crowd was thoroughly behind Bobby Fish for this match. Like, didn't really care about Akira. That would change, though, with some solid graps in the opener. However, before we talk about the solid graps in the opening moments of this here contest, I just want to point out that Bobby Fish did, like, 45 minutes of stretches, like, at the merch table, like, before the show started. Like when there was, like, if there was no one talking to him, he's doing leg lifts and torso stretches and all that sort of good stuff. And I just thought that was mildly entertaining, like, watching that from my seat. Just, hey, look, there's Bobby Fish. So he's still stretching. I assume he's still stretching to this day. Like, that's what the local legend says. Like there once was a guy called Bobby Fish at a merch table, and he just stretched, and he spent his entire life stretching. Obviously, that is a joke. We have the match with Akira. Lots of grappling to start off the party. Akira, once again, like, showing off, like, that he can do the graps, which, of course, like, I know, like, and a lot of the folks who've been, like, are finally that watch MLW, regularly, are starting to, really find out, is that Akira is not just a deathmatch guy. And for some odd reason, that tag just sticks with him, despite also being very good at the death matches. But, like, he can go. He's a grappler, and he's got the graps. He does take turns with Bobby Fish, and at one point, he actually does kind of, like, get the advantage on it. However, things break down after Akira licks his hand and rubs Bobby Fish's bald head, and Akira, rightfully so, eats a kick for that. That starts the first wave of proper offense by Bobby Fish. Got some knee strikes and a senton to Tomiko. However, gets cocky and gets caught in a modified dragon screw in the ropes, followed up by a diving forearm. Akira is sent outside while Fish wants the count out, takes a break to, I assume, stretch some more. They come inside, and we get, battling leg locks. That's how we want to do it. Akira catches Fish in the ropes, like going for a kick, locks in a heel hook off that. Go inside the ring where Fish locks in a leg lock of his own. Akira does get to the ropes off of that. We go back and forth with exploders, like we're just gonna trade exploder suplexes now, and for no good reason. However, Fish does it a little bit better, and by better I mean he just launches Akira into the turnbuckles. Only gets 2 off of that. Akira does bait Fish in for a hook kick, and so obviously Fish missed that. Get a capture suplex, a roundhouse kick, and the death penalty for 3. And so this is a fun little match too. It wasn't quite as high octane as the previous match, but I think the crowd was like into this match a bit more. Definitely behind Bobby Fish as well. So they weren't happy. Like crowd reaction rise. Akira was the heel, despite Bobby Fish playing up the heel role of doing like slightly illegal things and whatnot. But otherwise, it was a fun little match. Heavy on the graps, which is obviously kicks and grappling is Bobby Fish's wheelhouse, and obviously, well, it's the wheelhouse of Akira too when he's not doing his alleged trademark of deathmatch stylings. There is a reason his style is called Death Catch or Catch Death. There's some catch wrestling in there too. But Akira gets the win, out grapples Fish, wants some respect. Thought it was a good match. Bobby Fish doesn't want any of it. Gives him the finger. Akira returns it because, yeah, whatever, man. I got fingers too. Fingers that win matches, by the way. Oh, yeah, that was a zinger. That one was one I made up. That wasn't an Akira one, so blame me for that one. But yeah, so we go backstage after this match. Dave Marquez makes his return to MLW. He is hanging out with Bro. the bro talks. Bro is leaving like date rape drugs in the numbers because he's picking out his number for Battle Riot. Like, he's happy with his number. He wants the world championship, whatever, man. Just zoned out after, like, he started leaving party favors in the number containers. Because I'm pretty sure that's, if there was an HR, I'm pretty sure that's against HR policy. MSL, Mr. St. Laurent comes out in commentary. He is representing the new Bamaye Fight Club, which is an auxiliary member of WTF. Alex Kane is out. He has laid down a challenge for any member of the false Bomayes, the Bumayes, if you will, because they're a bunch of no-name goons that I'd never seen before, just magically decide that they would rather hang out with Flop Dalla himself. We get a small little video package. AJ Francis is live via satellite. Gonna bring it via satellite like he's The Rock or something. More like the Croc, of course, because that pun didn't get cold back in 2001 or whatever. But he, gets his little shot in about it's his Bomaye now. And he's gonna send out his guy known as A-Game to take care of Kane. So A-Game comes out and Kane just levels him, like, right away, just charges up the aisle and takes the dude out, sends him into a guardrail. And what you don't see in this is, like, the A-Game hit the guardrail hard enough that, like, that it knocked, like, the guardrails, like, 3 rails down and smashed my knee. Like, so there's my personal experience for this here match, is Alex Kane destroyed my knee despite, like, throwing a guy, like, 3 rows down. In addition into this, he hits a big overhead suplex on the floor outside the ring. We finally go into the ring. The bell rings. We hit the Mark of Cain leg hook suplex, followed by the fade into black. Like, it's all like, 30 seconds, 45 seconds from start to finish once bell time starts, and it's over. A-Game did not bring his A-Game. Either that his A-Game is a Z-Game, because the champ just decimated the dude. Mr. St. Laurent gets dragged into the ring by Mr. Thomas. It looks like they're going to go for a double chokeslam when Flop Dollar reappears up on the magic screen. He's just like, okay, well, that was a thing, but you really want this? Let's have ritual combat. Let's take it back to the motherland at Battle Riot. Kane accepts because this match is going to be in his hometown at the ATL, and that is on Bomaye. Following this, we go backstage. Mads Krugger gets a mic. Not really, he's just talking to the camera. But most importantly, he doesn't have the voice box thing, so we kind of understand him. He notes that the name Matthew Justice is ripe with hypocrisy. There's no justice within the Second Gear crew, just like there's no justice with MLW. He is going to take it all down, starting with the Second Gear crew and Matthew Justice tonight. Justice has his grave already dug for him. We'll see him there. Which leads to our next match. Falls Count Anywhere. Mads Krugger taking on Matthew Justice. Justice starts off fighting his way through the nameless schools of the Sendai Death Squad with a barbed wire baseball bat. Like, and here's the thing, like, it's one of those, like, little things I don't understand. Like, and it's a larger picture with wrestling, but I just like, shitting on the one called Manders. And, like, Justice, like, had to come out and, like, take on, like, 6 nameless schools by himself. Like, where was his backup for that? Like, he has a stablemate. Like, he has a BFF, like, at least one BFF left in the company since Good Brother number 3 left. And Justice had to do this all by himself. And, like, he was doing a pretty good job until Krugger decided to take to the air. Like, the 7-footer dives over the top rope, taking out Justice and the entirety of the Sendai Death Squad. Krugger sends the Death Squad members to the back, so this is now a proper one-on-one match. We're going to fight outside the ring. At least continue fighting outside the ring. Big chokeslam on the ring apron by Krugger. Note, hardest part of the ring, of course. Justice rolls inside the ring. Krugger is looking to get some plunder. He grabs himself a door, despite the crowd demanding tables to be had. Justice wakes up and hits a tope suicida into the door, into Krugger. Doesn't break the door, but what breaks the door is when Justice picks it up and clocks Krugger over the head with it. Like just would hit him, it would break in half. He would take that half piece, hit Krugger again and just like continue like breaking chunks of the door off on Krugger's head. Krugger is bleeding at this point, just a little bit, nothing horrible. We get some more plunder into the ring. Justice is chucking chairs in. We get another door that's set up in the corner. Krugger crashes through the door trying to go for like a shoulder tackle or spear, something of the like. Justice gets his hands on some gusset plates. And, you know, as I said, like, I am a deathmatch guy. Gusset plates are one of those things that give me the ick. Just because, like, I don't... There are a lot of like arteries in the human body, and like, you know, you can get away with like light tubes because a lot of times like light tubes will just do a superficial cut and not necessarily drive themselves completely in. Like, don't get me wrong, there are totally examples of people lacerating themselves pretty darn good off of light tubes. Looking at you, Nick Gage, who died on the way to life flight. But like as a whole, for the most part, you know, light tubes are relatively safe. I mean, it's not that safe because mercury and whatever. But you know, the gusset plates are just like bladed plates. Like just there's a bunch of like little razors on a plate, and the deathmatch folk like get that pounded into their flesh. And Krugger is no exception. Like, Justice has a gusset plate, tries to pound it in his chest, doesn't quite work, does it again and gets the plate to stick into Krugger's chest, gets another gusset plate and pounds it into Krugger's forehead, and like, he caught something on that one, because the blood at this point is now just streaming down Krugger's mask, like just a thick thick stream of it. Like, dude, it's crazy, go nuts. And like, I tried to get like a picture of it or some footage of it, and just the combination of the lights and poor placement from the referee, like none of my pictures of Krugger like did the blood justice. Luckily though, there's a whole camera crew there to take video footage of it, and if you saw it, like you gotta admit, like, that was gnarly. Krugger hits a chokeslam on Justice with a gusset plate like still in his forehead, like no sells everything, does take the gusset plate out, and blood is just like everywhere at this point. We are, you know, still brawling, like, despite all the blood. Like, I thought the ref was going to call it off at one point, and I think that was just the Iggy to get out of the ring and go on and fight into the crowd, because they fought into the crowd, over the guardrail, into the crowd, up the bleachers, and like the stadium has, I don't want to call it a full-on balcony, but it just has this like the platform with you know, safety rail over it. Like, I think it's meant for camera crews or whatever, because Cicero Stadium is basically a giant YMCA. So I think it's more just like a camera landing point, like a, I don't know, we'll call it a crow's nest spot, and they're brawling on that. So obviously someone is going over the rails. The question is who. We are answered pretty darn quick though, and the answer is Matthew Justice, who likes jumping off of tall things, and gets launched over the railing through one table. Anyway, he missed the second table. Krugger, you know, stomps his way down. Justice is still on his back in the wreckage. The ref's checking on him. Krugger gets the pinfall, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Your winner, Mads Krugger. But we're not done. We're not done at this point either. The Sendai Deathstrike like tries to like body bag Justice, and he fights out of it. Starts fighting with Krugger again. Krugger gets laid out on the table that didn't get broken by Justice when he flopped off the crow's nest. Justice jumps off the bleachers through Cruel and the table, and then just start brawling through the building. And we get more footage of the two brawling backstage throughout the building, when all of a sudden Justice gets randomly kicked in the face by someone that is revealed to be Janai Kai. Yeah, so Kai looks at the camera, holds up the black flag, says Hail Contra, and Janai Kai is now a member of Contra. So rewinding a bit. You see, rewinding. Let's talk about this match. Like, it was just crazy go nuts. And I know this match is not going to be for everyone, but like, this match was just sheer carnage, and I loved every moment of it. Like, outside of like my concern for Krugger when he got the gusset plate to the head and the amount of blood he was losing, and then of course I was definitely concerned about Justice. Justice taking a dive from the crow's nest. And I did get an opportunity to talk off camera, like after the fact, with Justice, and like evidently the crazy bastard wanted to go higher and dump Krugger from a higher spot, but like MLW like explicitly like blocked the area off once they caught wind of his evil plans to murder Mads Krugger, which in retrospect is probably a good idea since Justice was the one who's going to be taking the fall off of it anyway. But yeah, dude's crazy go nuts. And let's Janai Kai going to Contra, like that was just really random AF, because they've like really never implied anything, like even like throughout these battles that and these attacks that Contra been doing, like they've never implied that like there was a mole involved, like letting Contra into the building. It's just like Contra's an invading army, derp. And so like, but now Janai Kai is just randomly in it, and like this led some, I feel like this adds some extra intrigue into the Selena De La Renta situation, like what is going on with Selena, at least as an on-screen character, and, you know, the sudden shift with Kai. I will say, though, at least they did something with it, because as we go to our next match is the Fatal 4-Way for the Featherweight Championship, and, like, for us in the live crowd, like, everybody, and I'll point it out, like everybody came out with their flags representing their nationality, and then except for Kai, who was announced as being a representative of Contra unit, as so like me and like the wife and like the dudes I was sitting next to were all like, what? Because like we all, you know, we're MLW fans, we watched the product and we're like, hey, what's going on here? Like, is that an error? And then like we saw on the screen that like, nope, they remixed her video to include the Contra imagery as well. And we're like, okay, well that's odd. I guess we're gonna find out at some point during the evening when like what's going on with it. So there's like the downside of being at these live events, because you don't get access to the pre-tapes until later on, because they don't always show these pre-tape videos during the event, and even if you did, like there's a good chance you might have missed it, because if you went to do concessions or you just couldn't hear what was going on. But yeah, so it's just really random, and so at least they did like kind of like give us like half an explanation as to, you know, what's going on with Kai. Still don't know the reasoning behind her jumping ship, and I'm going to assume we're going to get a little more information about that here in the future. But spoiler alert, it's not going to happen during this taping. But yeah, as I said, like, so this kind of like leads to our next match, which is the Fatal 4-Way for the World Featherweight Championship, as Janai Kai battles Miyu Yamashita, making her return to the promotion, Zeta Steel, and Delmi Exo. As I said, everybody came out with flags kind of representing their nationality. Didn't know Zeta had Moroccan in her. Of course, I didn't know what the flag of Morocco was either. Just come out with this like random looking flag, and you know, I'm a stupid American, and you know, like I know some countries' flags, but Morocco is not one of them. And again, like I didn't know Zeta had any Moroccan ancestry, but she come out with the flag of Morocco. Thanks, Joe Dombrowski, for letting us know on that one. Yes, match was a lot of fun. Let's talk about it. Let's give the rundown of it. So, like, the bell rings, everybody goes after Kai. She is the featherweight champion, has held the title since October, when it was revealed that she was the Rick Rude Halloween Phantom. Zeta, after that, is the first one to really go on some mass offense, taking everyone out, then going for a suicide dive on Janai Kai. Inside the ring, Yamashita and Exo trade off moves before Zeta and Kai come back in. They kind of like form like a half-assed alliance out of the deal until like Zeta really annoys Kai and eats kicks for her efforts. Kai cleans house. Yamashita and Kai have a kickoff, and Zeta would just like try to like get involved, and they'd kick her, and finally they decided like the best way to prove who was the better striker is to strike Zeta. And so like they would do like snapmares into these kicks to the back, spinal tap if you are a old WWE video game fan. It would just take turns kicking Zeta. Poor Federate Zeta. I told her this could have turned out better if she would have accepted, if she wasn't striking such like a hard deal and trying to take away my hot tub filled with pizza rolls. But like, whatever, man. I've beat that horse in the ground. But yeah, so like they took turns like beating up on Zeta until like they went back going after each other, trading strikes to the arm. They catch each other's leg at one point and then hit each other with a roundhouse kick to the head, stumbling the two competitors as Delmi Exo jumps off the top rope, hitting a double drop kick on those two. However, we go into like a finisher exchange section. Zeta tries to go for I'm Prettier, doesn't work. Delmi goes for the Delmi driver. She starts the party, and Yamashita just hits her big roundhouse kick to Delmi, and Delmi is like half knocked out from this, just falls on her butt, which completes the Delmi driver, taking out Zeta as well. Then Kai comes in with a big kick of her own to Yamashita, allowing a double demon clutch, double dragon sleeper. Man, I'm a child of the 80s. You think I'd be able to say double dragon properly, but double dragon sleeper gets the victory. Your winner and still featherweight champion, Janai Kai. But yeah, this was a fun match as well. Like, everyone got to have some showing. I think for like overall, this was a strong showing for Zeta, just because her last match was just not that great, and she got the chance to like show off with peer type competitors or people that matched and surpassed her skill. And I don't mean this negatively when I say surpassed her skill. She's very young. She's less than 2 years into her career. And so she's working with other competitors with a batch of experience. And arguably in the case of Yamashita, like arguably one of the best Joshi wrestlers in the world. So, like, Zeta got to show off, even if she spent a chunk of time getting her butt kicked in the process. Kai continues to look strong, and, like, I really wonder, like, what they're going to have to do with her and the Featherweight Championship as this Kitao reign continues. I admit, like, there's now some extra intrigue with her jumping ship to Contra. But, again, like, there's really no strong other competitors in the Featherweight division in MLW right now that she hasn't handled. Like, she has battled Delmi Exo like 3 times, granted only like once in one-on-one competition, but like this is her third meeting with Delmi. Despite them building up Zeta, she really hasn't shown herself up to be a threat yet. And like, as far as I know, we're done with Tiara James. We are done with Magnificent Mimi as well, so I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see on that. But this whole Contra thing is good. We're going to breathe some new life into the situation, in my humble opinion. But otherwise, like, it was a very fun match. Following this match, we go backstage where MSL talks about stealing the brand new MLW World Heavyweight Championship, but he's got to eat first before he can. Well, okay, he just tossed the sandwich everywhere. It's kind of gross and a waste. But while he's tossing the sandwich everywhere, Satoshi Kojima confronts him, telling him how he stole. Mr. St. Laurent stole the championship from Kojima. And I'm not going to lie, like, I love these interactions between MSL and Kojima. Like, yeah, MSL chews a lot of scenery, but like, there's just something about like how frustrated and angry Kojima gets in the mere presence of MSL is hilarious to me. And just drags MSL down, grabs the belt, tells MSL how much he hates him. I hate you every time. Gets the belt back when he is interrupted by the one called Manders. Manders offers respect. Kojima, like, I don't know what Kojima's like going through his head in this process, but yeah, but Manders offers his respect, tells him may the best man win, but does like imply the best man is the one called Manders. And Kojima's like, yes, I know who you are. Like, dude just throwing shade at you, like, and you're just like, yes, I know. Like, dude. But I was entertained by that. But that's going to be our main event this evening for the World Heavyweight Championship, the one called Manders taking on Satoshi Kojima. Following this, we get a kidnapped cameraman and Sami Callihan. Callihan is going to beat Bro tonight because Bro just wanders in, broing it up. And Callihan doesn't like his spot being taken by Bro remix. That is allegedly our next match. I don't know. My monitor went out, but it was a thing. And I guess it was, according to a lot of people, it was also a bathroom break match. So that's all the people need to know about that. Following this alleged match, Bad Dude Tito confronts Cesar Duran with cliches of the 80s, and dude's finally winning me over. Like, he's a solid in-ring guy, don't get me wrong. I give him shit because he's Mr. 600 and somehow have gotten, like, 2 title opportunities and now is the National Openweight Championship. But he bursts into Cesar Duran's office, dispatching a couple of lucha goons. Cesar's got a knife. Cesar's got a shiv. And Tito just kind of laughs it off and is like, Cesar's like, you are in danger. And Tito's like, danger's my middle name. What are you going to do with that? Pick my teeth? Like, I don't know if he's like that's his normal thing, or if he's just channeling Scott Steiner, but I am totally down for it, man. That low just made Bad Dude Tito super interesting in my eyes, and I'm not gonna lie, like I'm aware of his existence. I know he's part of TMDK in New Japan. Haven't seen a whole lot of his work prior to MLW, so I'm glad we're like finally like seeing Bad Dude Tito as a personality, because like I am down for like faux Scott Steiner Bad Dude Tito. That will entertain me greatly. So yeah, Tito, if you're listening to this, keep going with that stuff, man. That is fun. All right, it is time for our main event of the evening. For the MLW World Heavyweight Championship, Satoshi Kojima takes on the one Called Manders, Battle of the Lariat as it's being billed. And I feel like this is a misnomer because, yes, both competitors use a lariat as part of their regular arsenal, as a finishing move, if you will. The thing is, though, like they talk about Manders' lariat, they reference Manders using a Western lariat battling an Eastern lariat. That is not true, technically true, and I expect more from Dombrowski because he's just as big of a nerd, if not a bigger nerd than I am in terms of wrestling history. Technically, Kojima's lariat is a Western lariat because he was personally taught the lariat by Stan Hansen. This is not just me making stuff up to throw shade at Manders. Like, no, this is legit. Like, that's what a lot of fans don't understand. They just see this old guy wrestling. And yes, Kojima is getting up there. He's in his 50s. Like, dude's got a legit career. Like, he's been in the business long enough to, one, wrestle with Stan Hansen. Like, that is why Kojima is the lariat. He was taught the lariat by the lariat himself, Stan Hansen. And just other history lesson, I'll get my Devo cap out here for UWN fans. Dude was in the NWO. People forget that. Like, and that's for life. People are just like, Bread Club. Like, no, he already had a club. He was part of, like, the original, like, badass, wrestling biker gang dudes as part of the NWO. Yes, it was NWO Japan, but still, like, they had a legit New Japan faction in Japan with the NWO. Like, following this, we got Kojima Goon, and wrestling fans might better know Kojima Goon as Suzuki Goon. Like, so the original, like, freelance scary person faction was led by Satoshi Kojima before he was ousted by our angry murder grandpa Minoru Suzuki. Like, so, like, dude's got this background, and, like, yeah, we see him now. He's like, oh, Bread Club, broken English, ha ha ha, fun little grandpa. But, like, no, dude's got a pedigree. Like, dude's got a wrestling pedigree, and that's why he's the MLW champion. So, sorry, tangent aside on that one. But it's just like one of those little things that, like, sometimes kind of annoy me. And it's not, it's not meant to be like a shade towards a fan or anything like that. But no, dude's legit. And, like, in this case, like, Kojima's lariat is the Western lariat. But yeah, so Western lariat versus lariat from the West, I guess, is a better name for this, as Manders is going for his first world championship within the confines of MLW. At least it looks to be starting out as a match of respect. We get a handshake before we start, like, trading blows and shoulder tackles. Nobody's selling anything. Kojima wants Manders to hit a shoulder tackle, which is not the brightest idea in Kojima's part. Like, he's an old tough dude, but he's an old tough dude with a knee injury, and he just told a college football player to go go take a running start for the shoulder tackle, which of course Manders obliges and just knocks Kojima the F out. And okay, that was kind of entertaining, but like Kojima asked for it, so I don't know what I'm gonna say. Like that's what happens sometimes. Manders does what he does best besides lose and goes outside the ring. We has fight outside the ring, go crashing into the guardrail, forearm shots before everybody gets back into the ring, where Manders then decides he needs to do a rest hold. Kojima gets to the ropes off of this rear chin lock, by the way. Machine gun chops in the corner. Manders has enough and decides that he's going to throw some off there as two. So we got 2 sets of machine gun chops, but Manders does it for a while. Like, he even shoves the referee away to just keep doing machine gun chops. Goes up to the top rope, and Kojima hits a lariat, knocking Manders to the floor. Manders does get in the ring to eat some forearms and get a DDT for his efforts. 2 count off of that. Oh, Boomerang Lariat. I thought I wrote down Boomer's Lariat. I'm like, why is Boomer doing a lariat here? But Manders goes for a lariat. Kojima ducks it. Manders spins around and takes off Kojima's head with a lariat of his own. Gets 2 count off of that. Immediately followed up with a nice Doctor Bomb. Only gets 2 count off of that as well. Kojima ducks a lariat. It hits the Cozy Cutter for 2. Manders knocks in another lariat. Manders yells and throws off his elbow pad to go for one last lariat and eats a lariat for his efforts. Like, just this lariat off at this point. However, one last lariat by Kojima gets the 3 count. Your winner and still MLW World Heavyweight Champion, Satoshi Kojima. And after the match, we are going to get some respect as Manders tries to put the belt on Kojima, but they're interrupted. But before we talk about the interruption, let's wrap up this match. We had like a nice hard hitting affair. I did think, like, outside of like the lariat off at the end, like, we just never really got the escalation. Like, I don't know, maybe this is the smark in me, this is the neckbeard in me, but like, I didn't feel like the title was in any danger of losing. And so yes, you could have matches to, build up competitors, title matches to build up like the challengers, to let everybody know that they're a threat to the title. But like, I didn't get the urgency, I didn't get the threat of a title reign ending with that match, and that took me a little bit out of it. And like, this is, ignoring the fact that, the one called Manders is in the match and him and I have history, blah blah blah. But like, Manders does have like legit like indie street cred. Like, the dude is traveling the nation. Like, on paper, he is it could be a worthy successor to Satoshi Kojima. Not tonight, obviously. But yeah, it just didn't seem to get out of second gear. Pun intended, fully intended on that one. But like, we did get the like nice little ending sequence of like who's going to throw that last lariat to end the match, and obviously it was Kojima. But before we like get all the respect that is deserved for Kojima and like a bread shower and whatever, just FYI too, before we get to this, I just want to throw out there that remind everyone that I had a chance to talk with Kojima and let Kojima know all of the one called Manders' weaknesses. So I like to think that, I was the deciding factor in this here match. Anywho, but yeah, so we get the music of Contra, and Contra storms the ring. We're going to have like a big, massive brawl between Contra, one called Manders, and Satoshi Kojima / Okamura. As Mads Krugger comes down. As Krugger comes in, he doesn't get to brawl very long before Matthew Justice comes out, and then we start getting like everybody out for no good reason except that Battle Riot is the next pay-per-view type match. So Matthew Justice is out, Akira's out, Brett Ryan Gosselin, Jake Christ, Bad Dude Tito, Sami Callihan, Alex Kane and Mr. Thomas, and Ultimate Bro all come out into the ring. Janai Kai's out there too. She's kicking people. She kicked the ref. I laughed at that one because fuck you, ref. Since I've already dropped the E on this one as well. Ref gets destroyed by Janai Kai, and that was great. So like, yeah, we have like our like, if you pay attention to WWE before the Royal Rumble, like they do like one last big brawl on the go home show to the Rumble, and that's kind of what we had here tonight as well. What we didn't see is the one called Manders on the floor in front of me. Okay, you can kind of see it, but they never got a good angle on it because there's so much going on in the ring. But yeah, so there's a brawl, and Manders does crawl over to me, begs me for forgiveness for beating me up in a bathroom with my back turned. But I'm like, nah, you get what you get, son. Janai Kai's over there ready to get you another thing because Hail Contra, baby. But yeah, so we end the show on the ultimate schmoz to get us ready for Battle Riot June 1st. So that being said, Furry Road. That's how Furry Road ends. Also, a very fun show. It was great to see live. Jokes aside, it's a real fun show to see live. And, like, it's a toss-up, like, which is a better show. And I think as a whole, like, which show you thought was better really comes down to what style of wrestling you prefer. Obviously, Azteca Lucha was a lucha exhibition show for the most part. Like, yes, it had stakes backstage, but like really, like for the casual viewer, like it was a show to celebrate lucha libre, whereas Fury Road was more of a quintessential MLW show with the blending of styles, a little bit of everything. But yeah, both shows were great. And so, like, I can't really choose which one was truly better because it was amazing to see lucha royalty and some of the up-and-comers in the world of lucha libre, and then just seeing MLW in its purest form live, where we got to see some of the best, women's wrestlers, featherweights in the world. Got the wild brawl between Matthew Justice and Cruel, Mads Krugger. Got to see friends of the show in terms of Jake Christ, Del Miexo. Like, so it was, I got rose tinted glasses for this entire event. So, let me know what you thought about the show. Hit me up in the comments section. Hit me up on social media, because we're going to wind down this thing. There's not a whole lot more. I mean, I could keep talking for all eternity, but there's not a whole lot of new stuff about Fury Road for me to talk about. But yeah, so yeah, if you let me know what you thought. Hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on social media. We're going to talk about this on the Urban Wrestling Network next week. So check that out. Hit the comment sections up on that. Let Chef and Muffins know what you think about all that good stuff as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, all the good stuff. We'll have, the usual plugs at the end of the show. And thank you all for listening. The last two shows were a lot of fun overall, just because I got to see it firsthand. Wrestling is best when you can see it live and in person, and then being able, as a small podcaster, being able to see like a large show that you've basically been reporting on. Like in my case, like this is like year number 5. I've been reporting about MLW, and this is the first time in like 5 years that they've come to Chicago. So it was freaking awesome. And so like for me, these shows were a lot of fun. And as a whole, like I feel like these were some of the stronger shows that they've had in the last couple of months as well. But that being said, time to wander away, check out the plugs and all that sort of good stuff. And I'll see you all next week. MLW Confusion is a weekly podcast that's written and performed by Rob Kammer and is hosted by Spotify for podcasters. MLW Confusion is part of the Urban Wrestling Network, and you can check them out on the Underground Rundown on YouTube at Urban Wrestling NW. Background music for this section is Ruined My Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is also helpful, as word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the descriptor, but the Twitter and Instagram are at the Nova of Cass, that is TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is at MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment and etc., please check out the tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer some more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that is CASSONOVA, whereas for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, The False Prophet, Alexander McCarthy, and Left Tendo, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Links will be below. For business inquiries such as ads and sponsorships, please email at rzkamer, that is Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you for listening.